Okay, we have got to talk about labeling. This is a freaking crisis. Everybody has been on those crews where nothing was labeled, or worse, lights were labeled so poorly, like from someone who wrote on 1-inch gaff tape with a mega Sharpie, that it created miscommunication about what fixture they were talking about. So what are the best techniques and how should you label? First, we must dive into the history of the first label. Just kidding. But what I will tell you is everyone knows Broadway is the best with labeling. So I hit up my friend who works as a production electrician on some notable Broadway shows, and I asked if I could help him with the checkout for a few days to see how the other half lived. And I gotta tell you, it is amazing to see their labeling system in action. I mean, come on, that's incredible, right? In case you didn't catch all of that, they use a design program called Vectorworks to first plot out their rig in whatever venue they are at. They draw in the trusses, drop their fixtures in, and can even model it in 3D to get some pretty insane previs of what the entire venue will look like with all of the lights properly positioned. That data gets ported over to a program called LightWrite, which allows the user to further specify details about every truss position, light, power, and data connection, even to the point where you can pre-plan out the power runs by phase to get an accurate estimate of the load draw on your power or dimmer racks at any given time. This is then printed in various reports for the crew to use and turned into color-coordinated labels, which are put on every breakout, connector, junction, light, and truss in multiple places so that the rig is incredibly dummy-proof. When a piece of truss that is pre-rigged with lights on it comes off of a truck, everyone knows how it all gets put together because everything is labeled so clearly. It's just insane to see it in action. Okay, hold up. I know what you're thinking. That is just so overkill for what we do in film. Sure, to a degree. They're installing a rig for a minimum of like 6 months up to 20 or more years. If it's there for 20 years, it's quite probable that the install crew is not there anymore as they've either gone on to another show or died. In contrast, our longest install is a few months. Most of the time, it's a few days. Now I should mention that this labeling advice I'm gonna give you is mostly for TV shows and movies. Commercials or other short-term projects are usually so chaotic from beginning to end, you don't actually have the time to properly label anything. However, for TV shows and movies, you do have the time to make it nice. The coolest thing I came away with in labeling hundreds of items over those few days is how they actually apply the labels. Most of the crews I work on simply use gaff tape because it's just one of those easiest expendables to get from production. Plus, it's easy to apply and easy to rip off. But if you're using gaff tape, you're writing the information with a Sharpie, and let's be honest, it just doesn't look as pro as printed labels. Plus, if you have someone with bad handwriting, game over, and they're not waterproof. So then you get on a crew where the LCP or rigging programmer prints labels. Cool, maybe he has a Dymo printer with those nice fat labels, or just a P-Touch that they stick right to the fixture. They look really nice, but wow, if you have the wrong sticker paper, they are painful to take off. Or too small and they're not waterproof, so one splash in the rain and now you're back to putting gaff tape on until you print a new label. And let's be honest, you're not printing a new label because your show is probably almost over. So what do? Vinyl tape. Yes, like the tape grips use to put that black 1/4-inch ABS hair cell or PVC Sintra over their nice birch plywood to roll their dollies on? This is the answer. When I first heard about this, I thought it was a lot of double work and a waste of tape, but after seeing it in action, I'm a convert. It's brilliant. You first put a tab of black vinyl tape down where you want to apply your label, whether it's on a connection, cable, truss, or light. Then you print your label on whatever paper you want. It could be the cheapest sticker paper you printed from your laptop, or it could be a nice sticky label from a thermal printer, or a waterproof label if you want to be extra safe. And you place it over the black vinyl tape. Then you cover it with clear vinyl tape. Now it's waterproof, you have a nice printed label, and you can easily take it off the fixture because the black vinyl below it is removable. In fact, you can take this on and off so easily. If you ever got into a situation where you needed to swap labels with another fixture, you could even do that. Now, I've done a ton of research. I bought a variety of labels from sheetlabels.com, and I'm just gonna tell you that their XJ series is what you want. It's for inkjet printers, but they have an equivalent for LaserJet. They are waterproof and have a white backing. Plus, you can even remove them pretty easily just using them bare on a fixture without black vinyl. I tried on a Sky Panel, Vortex, and a Stereotube. The XJ series, which I expect is something like what most users will want, came in at just over $26 for 25 sheets. Each sheet had 10 labels that were 2 inches by 4 inches, so for 250 labels, they were 11 cents a label. But if you buy just the lowest cost white 2-inch by 4-inch labels off of Amazon, you can get 1,000 labels for $14. And the vinyl tape they use on Broadway, you can get off Tape Planet for just $4.46 a roll. And they are 36 feet long. So one roll will be good for quite a few labels. Now I should mention that there are 3 main situations to label. You have your truck package, which you cart around everywhere you go and use the most. Your stage packages, which live at the stages for as long as you're shooting on the stage. And then location drop packages, which may be at a location for anywhere from a day to a couple months. I would say that the black vinyl label clear vinyl sandwich, we'll call the premium sandwich label, would be best for your truck package since it's the most used and often in the elements. This is the most durable label application. For the stage packages, I would just do black vinyl and then the label without the clear vinyl on top. It's not as nice, but it's less tape used because often you have hundreds of lights at a stage and things can come and go, and it's usually not going to be subject to water. Another thing to do at the stage while you're making labels for your fixtures is to make nice big labels for the hanging lights that can easily be seen from the gaffer's position on the ground. For the location packages, I would either use gaff tape for fixtures that are more or less going to be set and forget for a quick moment, like par cans, or maybe a package of Astera AX9s for the deep background uplighting trees, or have the premium sandwich labels I could slap on the fixtures we got as additional units that we are going to be dancing around set, as they will probably be in heavy use and perhaps in the rain. You could also just use those nice XJ labels bare if you can get production to pay for them, although I would still say that the premium vinyl sandwich is more durable and waterproof than any weatherproof label you can just print on. Oh, hold up. Do me a favor. Throw me a like and hit subscribe. It really makes a difference for my channel so that I can keep making these videos for you. Labeling fixture numbers on your lights is not the only type of labeling you should do. You really need to label everything so that you can easily keep track of different packages of gear you may have rented from different rental houses. Now, this obviously goes beyond the job of a programmer, but this is general advice for an electric crew. You don't need printed labels, but you do need to be able to mark every piece of gear. You can do this with tape the cheap way, but I really like the crews that use zip ties since they are so easy to apply. Put zip ties on everything, every light, every ballast, cable, piece of hardware, accessory, case, anything that can get separated needs a label. This way, it is so easy to distinguish each equipment package from each other. Perhaps your shoot crew has orange, the riggers have green, and anything picked up for the day has nothing. Then at the end of a night, it's easy for your crew to wrap up their gear. The shoot crew, anything that doesn't have an orange zip tie, they leave. The next morning, your riggers come in to clean up, and they're told that anything that doesn't have a green zip tie goes on a box truck to return, and anything with a green zip tie goes on their own truck. Furthermore, when it comes to actually rigging a stage, take the time to properly label inputs and outputs, meaning both ends of a cable. It can be a nightmare to troubleshoot cables that seemingly come from nowhere. What universe is this? Where is this gateway getting data from? Because it's not anymore. It just takes a little more of your time and will save anyone trying to figure out an issue with the rig valuable minutes or even hours of their time and production's time. I know what you're thinking. We don't have time for this, or my riggers won't do this. We're lucky to have them label anything at the stage. And for that, I have two answers. One, be the change you want to see in the world. Two, any UPM or production supervisor or producer who has done one production knows how much L&D can get out of hand by simple mismanagement of gear. $100 in zip ties is going to save you thousands of dollars on the back end when everything is correctly accounted for, and it's going to be an easy sell. At the beginning of every production I'm on, I try to talk with the gaffer and the rigging gaffer about how we can set ourselves up for success in terms of the world of data, so that everything is controllable for the DP and gaffer on the day with no fuss. Because that's really what it comes down to. What's the purpose of putting a moving light in a lift if you can't control it? How many times have you lost time because something wasn't properly addressed, profiled, or labeled? It's time to start pushing your agenda as the lead data person, because honestly, you're the one in the hot seat when it comes down to it. And if you can't turn on a light when it's called, now it's your problem, and the gaffer is gonna look bad while the riggers are at home from a short day drinking a beer, clueless at how not labeling something completely screwed over your day. So nicely, make it a big deal before you sign on to a production so that everyone is on the same page. Heck, say Jeff Brink is making all programmers and electric crews do this. Blame it on me, I don't care. I just want to walk on more organized sets from now on. For those of you coming up, you want to differentiate yourself from a third electric who's just cherry-picked from the availability list? Be the specialized electrician who understands DMX and networking. Take pride in what you do by doing a good job and labeling things well. That will take you so far in this industry. We are constantly looking for people who have that drive and motivation to learn the technology we are using on a daily basis. It's only going to get more complex as lights get smarter. Start learning now and set yourself up for success on your next production by requesting some expendables for your crew that include a bunch of rolls of black vinyl tape, clear vinyl tape, label paper, whether you are doing P-Touch, thermal, or using a regular printer, and as many brightly colored zip ties as production will buy you to get you through that first part of production, because you're going to need more. I don't think you realize how many pieces of gear come apart and need zip ties. The vinyl tape we used on Broadway were the cheapest ones from Tape World, and they worked great. This is not expensive for production to pay for. Make sure production orders it in time for your checkout, even if they have to ship it to your house or apartment and you have to bring it to the checkout yourself. I don't care, it just needs to get done. And make sure there is double or triple the amount for your riggers. Believe me, it'll be worth it for your entire crew and your gaffer's peace of mind if you start taking the time to label things properly. Do you agree? What do you do differently? Let me know your labeling tricks in the comments below. Otherwise, I'll catch you in the next video. Thanks for watching.
For example, the trusses that are back there are walking trusses. So look at arm rails. The only serviceability is if you go up on the truss in a harness, because there's nowhere to get a lift underneath.
Okay.
And so someone in a truss who's kneeling and reaching through, if that's on the bottom, you know what I mean? Like that's obnoxious. So if you pre-prep it on the top, that just helps everyone. But then for like something like the front of house truss, for example, when you're in a bosun's chair and you're focusing the light and it's here, you don't want it on the top because then you're doing this. When you're in a harness, 40 feet in the air, you want to go, oh, there it is, up, and then go from there.
Wow.